Long before time was written, before kings claimed thrones, there was the Nile, a river that breathed life into desert sands. Each dawn, its waters swelled with rains from distant highlands, flooding the banks, renewing the soil, scattering fish, and feeding crops. The people of the valley prayed to gods they hoped would protect the waters, gods of the sky, earth, and sun. On the western bank, in a cluster of mud brick huts beneath palms, a young girl named Azat watched the river's reflection. She traced patterns on clay, imagining great stone pillars, spiral tombs on hills, and golden crowns touching the sky. Azat was born in the time the two lands, Upper and Lower Egypt, were still separate, ruled by warring chieftains. But she had in her the dream of uniting them. Years later, under a burning sun, the chieftains of Upper and Lower Egypt met at Mahat, a place where the Nile splits the lands. A towering leader, King Narmer, rose. With mace in hand, scepter in the other. He wore the red crown of Lower Egypt and the white of Upper. He united the lands, becoming the first pharaoh. The people cheered. The Nile grew calm. The gods seemed to watch with favor. Then walls of mud turned to stone. Palaces grew, temples reached for the sun, and the pyramids began to shape the horizon. Azat, now a royal sculptor, carved faces of gods and kings, Horus with falcon eyes, Ra blazing across ceilings. The pharaohs built their names on stone so that time could not erase their glory. Khufu built the Great Pyramid, Kafir raised the second, Menkaure the third. The massive stones, hauled by thousands, seemed to defy human limits. Priests whispered that Pharaoh was God on earth, the living son of Ra. They claimed magic flowed in his veins. Azat, in her art, saw more: the burden of divinity, eyes that never closed, heart that could bear both love and grief. When Pharaoh's reign ended, it was often the queen who carried continuity. One name rose above all: Hatshepsut, daughter of Thutmose, who would become one of Egypt's most extraordinary rulers. Hatshepsut declared herself pharaoh. She traded war for commerce. Ships sailed to punt, incense and rare woods came with gifts. Obelisks were raised. She built her temple at Deir el-Bahri, carved into cliffs, where terraces rose like steps toward the sky. But power breeds envy. The priests of Amen grew uneasy. How could a woman rule as god-king? Whispers rose in corridors. Some said her images would be defaced after her death. Yet for decades, Hatshepsut ruled with wisdom. Azat, now elder but sharp, watched her craft peace and legacy with chisel and voice. Then came Akhenaten, the heretic pharaoh, who shattered tradition, abandoned many gods, championed Aten, the sun disk, moving the capital to Amarna, urging people to turn toward one god's light. Families were divided, priests resisted, gods fell silent. Aset's grandson Imhotep tried to mediate, but theology split. Wars broke out in small towns. The gods, neglected, it was said, turned away their blessings. Akhenaten's reign collapsed after his death. The priests returned, the temples reopened, and Egypt slid back into polytheism. But the scar remained, that a god-king could challenge the tradition of many gods. Centuries passed, dynasties rose and fell. Foreign kings came, Nubians, Persians, Greeks. Then came Alexander of Macedon, whose armies overran Egypt, though he declared himself pharaoh. His successors, the Ptolemies, mixed Greek blood with Egyptian, embracing both cultures. In Alexandria, the library burned, scholars mourned, poets wrote under moonlight. Cleopatra, 7, last of the Ptolemies, loved, ruled, and fought like no queen had before. Her alliances with Rome, her love affairs, her intellect. She was legend. But Rome's shadow deepened. Octavian crushed her fleet. Egypt became a province of the great Roman Empire. The pharaohs' time ended, but their stones remained. Temples, names, myths. Set's descendants, now living under Roman governors, still heard the whispers of the Nile and imagined one day Egypt might rise again. As Rome ruled, Christianity spread among the people. In the desert caves and coastal cities, new faiths found followers. The ancient temples, though, remained crumbling, revered, ignored. Then, in the 7th century, Another wave, Islam. Arabs crossed the desert. Cairo was founded. Rose beside earlier churches. The language shifted, but many traditions endured. Respect for ancestors, love for the Nile, admiration of the stars. One bright morning, in Fatimid Cairo, a young scholar named Yusuf read under a courtyard fountain. He saw in the stars echoes of Orion, Osiris, Isis, the ancient gods. He also saw new stars, scholars in astronomy, in math, engineering. Egypt became a center of learning again. Al-Azhar was built, libraries swollen with scrolls. Travelers from distant lands came, seeking wisdom in the sands. Dear centuries rolled by. Ottoman Turks claimed the land. Mamelukes resisted. Empires collided. Egypt's kings were sometimes rulers, sometimes puppets. Muhammad Ali Pasha rose, modernizer. Built factories to Europe, built factories, built a navy. He dug the Suez Canal, connecting seas, changing trade, drawing the world's eyes onto Egyptian land. But with opportunity came danger. Foreign powers, British, French, saw Egypt's wealth and position. Debt mounted. Control slipped. Cairo became a city of contrasts. Ornate palaces beside dusty alleys. Old gods, the old magic seemed only dust in the wind. Yet among the people a set spirit lived on. Farmers, artisans, poets painted in words and clay, in song.